Hello class, welcome to lesson 7.5, which is all about adding and subtracting polynomials. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to add polynomials as well as subtract them. So let's take a look at what that means. What does it mean to add a polynomial? Remember, we discussed what a polynomial is, what a monomial, binomial, trinomial. Now we're going to take that knowledge and we're going to build on it. So if I ask you to find each sum and I give you 5x squared minus 3x plus 4 as one quantity and I want you to add 6x minus 3x squared minus 3, there's a couple of things that you can do in order to solve this. My personal favorite method is to take the two different expressions, so my purple expression and my orange expression, and write them vertically. Because I don't know if you guys remember, back in elementary school when someone would ask you to add, you would line up the numbers. I'm going to do that same type of thing here. So I have 5x squared minus 3x plus 4. Notice that's written in standard form, okay, with my highest power for exponents written on the left, and then going in decreasing order. Now I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to rewrite this orange part in standard form. So I'm going to start with my highest exponent, which is the 2. So I'm going to start with a negative 3x squared. And then my next highest is that x. That's a positive 6x. And then I have a minus 3. Now what I'm going to do, I am adding these together. So this is going to be a little bit similar to kind of what we were doing last chapter where we were adding things, but we used to add things to get rid of a variable. This time, we don't care. We're just adding. So we have 5x squared plus a negative 3x squared. That's going to give me 2x squared. Then I look at the center term, and I see I have a negative 3x plus a positive 6x. That's going to result in a positive 3x. And I can finish again with I have a positive 4 plus a negative 3. So that's going to be plus 1. So my final answer, once I have added them together, is 2x squared plus 3x plus 1. Okay, so let's try that again. If I can either write them vertically like I just did. So if I did that, I would write for my first one in descending order or standard form. I would write y to the 4th, and then I notice I don't have a y to the 3rd or y squared. I don't have those here, but I do have a y to the 3rd right here. So I need to put a placeholder. So I'm going to say plus 0y cubed, and then I have minus 3y plus 7. Then my next one, I have a negative 2y to the 4th. I have a positive 2y cubed. I have a positive 2y and a negative 11. Okay, so if I go through, I can add them vertically again. So I'd end up with negative y to the 4th plus 2y cubed minus y minus 4. Or, if you don't feel like writing it vertically, your other option, this is best when you have colored pencils or something that you can highlight, but look for your highest power. So I look at my first one, I have a y to the 4th. In my second expression, I have another y to the 4th. Notice it's a negative 2y to the 4th. So I can just add those together. I can say I have a positive 1, and I have a negative 2. I know that's going to be a negative 1 y to the 4th. Okay, so I'm done with those two. Now I look, do I have any y to the 3rds? Because that would be my next exponent. I see I have one over here. So I'm going to say I have plus 2y cubed. So then I can cross that off. Then I have negative 3y, positive 2y, so negative 3 plus 2. That's going to give me a negative y. I can cross those off. And then I have positive 7 and a negative 11. So if I add those together, I'm going to end up with a negative 4. So whichever way you find easiest, go for it, okay? It's totally personal preference here. I will not dock you points if you use one of these methods. Okay, why don't you go ahead and try solving this one on your own? Hopefully you ended up with negative 2x squared plus 5x plus 3 as your answer. If not, try this one as well. Some more practice. Hopefully you ended up with 4x cubed plus 5x squared plus 3x minus 6. If you have any questions about those, be sure to ask for some help. Okay, now let's look at if instead of a sum, we're given a difference. We want to subtract instead. So what I can do is I can line up my variables again. So I see I have a negative 2x cubed, I have a positive x squared, and I have a negative 2. So I don't have any x's, but I am going to subtract that whole thing. So this is where it gets really important that you remember you are subtracting. So you can say 4x cubed minus negative 2x. So 4x cubed minus negative 2x cubed. That's going to turn into addition, because minus a negative. So we have 6x cubed. And then I have negative 3x cubed, or squared, sorry, minus a positive x squared. So it's going to give me negative 4x squared. When you're subtracting, it's really important that you pay attention to your signs. Then we have a 6x minus 0x. That's going to remain the same. And to finish it off, we have a negative 4 minus a negative 2. That's going to turn into some addition. And I'm going to have minus 2. That's my answer. So again, you can do some vertical subtraction, or you can try the same method that we were using before. Look for your highest power. I see that my highest power is a negative y cubed, but we have a subtraction symbol in front of it. So there's 0y cubed over here, right? It's not in our parentheses. So 0y cubed minus a negative y cubed. Have to be careful. That's going to end up being a positive y cubed. It'd be super easy just to leave that as a negative and end up getting that incorrect. Okay, so I'm done with my y cubed. I can cross that off. Now I look for my y squared. I see I only have the positive 5y squared. So that's just going to remain as is. And then I have an 8y minus a 12y. So that becomes negative 4y. And I can get rid of my 8y, and I can get rid of my 12y. And I see I'm left with just some whole numbers. I have negative 10 minus a positive 7. So that becomes negative 17. Okay, so these are both acceptable ways. You can do vertical or horizontal, whichever you prefer. I think vertical is a better visual for you guys, especially if this seems confusing. But we all learn different ways, so whatever works best for you, okay? Go ahead and solve this first difference problem. Hopefully you ended up with x to the 4th minus 2x cubed plus x squared. If not, be sure to ask for some help or go back and check your work. Try one more. Hopefully for this one you ended up with 2y to the 4th minus 5y cubed plus 3y squared minus 11. If not, be sure to reach out for some help, okay? Okay, now let's talk about some word problems. We have video games. The total amount of toy sales, T, is represented in billions of dollars, consists of two groups, the sales of video games and sales of traditional toys. So we know our total sales equals the amount we make on video games and the amount we make on traditional toys, okay? In recent years, the sales of traditional toys and total sales could be represented by the following equations. where n is the number of years since 2000. Okay? And then we have two different equations. The first thing we want to do is, for letter A, write an equation that represents the sales of video games. So we're going to take this equation and we're going to modify it because we just want to know what V equals. So we have V plus R on the same side. We need to get V by itself. So I'm going to subtract R from both sides. And I have V equals T minus R, or since we are more comfortable typically with the having something equal on the left side, let's just rewrite it. So I'm going to have an equation where V equals T minus R. So that means I have, if we look at it, T, I'm going to write it vertically, T is 0.45 n cubed minus 1.85 n squared plus 4.4 n plus 22.6, because that's what I'm given, that's my T. And I want to subtract from that my R, 0.46 n cubed minus 1.9 n squared plus 3n plus 19. Okay? So I just got those both from right down here in our given information. And now I want to subtract them. So I take 0.45 n cubed minus 0.46 n cubed. That's going to leave me with 0.01 n cubed minus negative 1.85 n squared minus a negative, so that turns into plus. But it's going to end up being 0.05 n squared. Then we have 4.4n minus 3n, which leaves me with a positive 1.4n. Then I have 22.6 minus 19, which leaves me with a positive 3.6. So my equation, V equals the difference of those two. Okay? Now, what if I wanted to use that equation to predict the amount of video game sales in the year 2000? If I go back to my problem, I see n is the number of years since 2000. So if we were at 2009 and we subtract 2000, we know n is going to equal 9. So I plug that into my equation from part A. So I have negative 0.01 9 cubed minus 0.05 n squared plus 1.4 times n, which is 9, and plus 3.6. So if I start simplifying that a little bit, my negative 0.01 times n cubed gives me a negative 7.29 plus negative 0.05 times n squared gives me 4.05. And then I have 12 plus 12.6 plus 3.6. If I add them all together, I end up at 12.96, and that's represented in billion, and we're talking about dollars. So $12.96 billion in video game sales is estimated for this for the year 2009. Okay, why don't you go ahead and try to solve this one on your own. Hopefully the equation you ended up with was 50x squared minus 50x plus 500. If you have questions, be sure to let me know. And part B, go ahead and use it to predict the profit if 30 items are produced and sold. Hopefully you ended up with $44,000. If you have any questions about lesson 7.5, please be sure to reach out for help, whether it's from me, a friend, going back and watching the video again, checking your notes. Be sure to try to make sure you understand it, okay? Have a great day.